said what, DJ? You said can you come off my paper?
Oh.
If I was you all, I probably wouldn't be talking. Because I'm pretty sure you don't want everybody to know how y'all act in class. Now, as I was saying, I'm not going to talk over you all. I'm on your time. I'm sitting up here trying to go over homework and y'all trying to have sidebar conversations. All right, so yesterday our lesson was on percent error, and that's trying to find the difference, the percent difference in what you supposed to have gotten and what you got. Okay, so our equation for percent error starts with the equation for absolute error, and the equation for absolute error is the accepted amount minus the exact amount. Now, if you're having problems understanding what the acceptable amount is and what the exact amount is, you can think of it as the acceptable amount being what did you get? When you measured, what did you get? And the exact amount is the correct amount, or the max amount that you should be at, the correct amount. That equation also includes the absolute value bar. So anything after you do your subtraction, that value has to be positive because there are absolute value bars behind there. So the absolute value of the acceptable amount minus the exact amount. That's your absolute error. Now, when you get ready to find your percent error, you're just going to take that absolute error and put it over the exact amount and set it equal to the percent over 100, or if you know how to change your decimal to a percent, you can do it that way. So let's take a look at our problem that we had for homework, or our problems we had for homework. Several students are competing in a science club competition to build a car that will travel exactly 10 meters. This is distance each student's car traveled is shown in the table below. So remember that the exact amount is the correct amount, where you want to be. The approximate value, or the acceptable value, is what you got, what you ended up with. All right, so for this particular one, we're going to start with Emily. And they're asking us to find the absolute error. Again, our equation for absolute error is the absolute value bars and what you got minus what you should have gotten, or the maximum amount or the correct amount. So what did Emily get? 9.2. So that will be 9.2. Remember our absolute value bars. Minus, what was the correct amount or the maximum amount? 10. Very good. So what is 9 minus 10?
1 minus 10 is
9.2 minus 10.
0.8.
What is it?
Negative
-0.8. Are we finished?
No.
What do we need to do? Change it to a positive, because what? Absolute value cannot be negative. So Emily had 0.8. Any questions there? Any questions there? Okay. All right, we're going to go on to Jerome. How much did Jerome get?
10.6.
That's how far his car went. How far were we trying to get Jerome's car to get to? 10. Exactly 10. So what is 10.6 minus 10?
0.6.
I'm bringing my absolute value bars down. And what is the absolute value of 0.6? 0.6. Any questions here?
No.
Okay. All right, and Marcella.
9.8.
Let's go.
Yes.
Remember for Jerome, wouldn't it be negative 0.6?
But it's
Absolute
absolute
value
value.
can't-
Oh.
9.6
8.
minus 10. Thank you. 9.8 minus 10.
Negative
Negative 0.2. Look, I'm bringing down my absolute value bars. Do not forget your absolute value bars. And what is our value after we find the absolute value?
Positive
0.2. All right. Any questions here? Any questions? I will try to upload this tonight, so you can look at it over the weekend if you need to.
Wait, it is.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
on it right now.
Huh?
I'm on it right
No, I mean the recording.
now. Oh, you're recording?
All right. So in the next part, part B, it says what is the percent error of each race. So now we're looking for the percent error. Now with the percent error, all we're doing is taking our absolute error, putting it over the correct value or the exact value, and then we're changing it to a percent. That's all. Look at what's new on here. We've already found the absolute error, so all we have to do is set it over the exact amount and then solve for the percent. So for Emily, what was her absolute error?
0.8.
0.8. You're going to put 0.8 over what was the correct amount?
10.
10. And we're going to change that into a percent. Now, if you know how to move your decimal, that's fine. If not, you can always use this equation. So if we were to cross multiply, 0.8 times 100 is what?
80.
80. Cross multiply here. That will give us 10x. And 80 divided by 10 is what? So that is 8%. Okay? All I'm doing is solving for adding to my equation. And if you notice, the equation built on itself. Okay. All right. On to our next one. Okay. What is our absolute error?
0.6.
0.6
Over 10.
over 10, which is our exact value,
Equals.
is equal to what?
X over 100.
X over 100. I hear somebody's going on. Cross and multiply, we're going to do the same thing.
60.
60 equals
10x.
divide by 10.
X equals
6 what?
6%.
6%. Miss Godfrey's room, how may I help you? All right. Remember, this will be uploaded, so if I'm going too fast or you miss something, you can catch it when we come back. Here. This is Miss Godfrey. Now let's into it. Yes. Somewhat. I do not have any construction paper. I got colored paper, but I don't. It's not the thickness of construction paper. Yeah. No, I do not. 'Cause I don't have one. Do you want the colored paper? It gotta be. It has to be. It has to be black. All right. Any questions about this one? Marcella's absolute error was 0.2. You set that over the exact value, which was 10. Cross multiply to solve for your percent, and we have 2%. Any questions here? Any questions here? All right, moving right along to our next problems, our next questions. I'm not going to write on the board for part C, but I would like to hear from the audience and what you think that means when we have a small percent error. What does that mean when we have a small percent error? Will?
It means that they were closest to the actual answer or the closest to the actual goal.
The actual goal. I like how you say goal because remember this is racing and they're moving according to speed. So when the percent error is small, that means there's a small gap in where they were and where they should have been. So there was a small error. So they were very close to reaching the speed of what they should have been at, or the speed that they were trying to reach, their goal speed. Okay? All right, now moving on to the ones at the bottom. Number D or letter D. We're not going to write these on the board either, but we're going to talk about these. Let's start with the first one. Summer. False. Jerome has the smallest percent error. That is false. Jerome's percent error was 6%. All right. Emily's race car was the most accurate. Taylor. Emily's race car, she had a percent error of 8%. That's higher. The percent error tells us how far away we were from our actual goal. So, who had the smallest percent error? Marcella. So that is false. So Emily and Marcella had a negative percent error because their cars traveled less than the desired distance. Nija. False. Percent errors are not false. Are not negative. So you should have false, false, and false. Okay? Now moving down to number 6, which is our last one. I cannot stress enough ways to remember this. Remember that the acceptable value, or the first value that you're going to work with in your equation, is what you got. The second value, which is your exact value, is the correct, what you should have gotten, the exact amount. So let's look at number 6. Mr. Brown's class was guessing the number of gumballs in the gumball machine in the cafeteria. All of the guesses were between 382 and 456. After counting, it was determined that there were actually 408 gumballs in the machine. Okay? Our question is asking us, what is the absolute error of the guesses below? So they give us 2 guesses, and we are to find the absolute error. Before we find the absolute error, tell me what the acceptable value is in this problem. Are the acceptable values in this problem? I need some hands. Natalie, you already working. What are the acceptable values? Cameron. 382 and 456 are our acceptable values. What is the exact value, Grace? 408 is our exact. So once you know those, all you have to do now is just fill in for your equation. We know for absolute value, we're going to have the absolute value of the acceptable value minus the exact value. So here our acceptable value was 382. The exact value was how much? 408. And do not remember your absolute value bars. What is 382 minus 408? Negative 26. Are we finished?
No.
What is our answer from here? Positive 26. So we have 26 here. Okay? Yes.
Is it okay if you do it the other way around?
No, it's not, and I'm going to show you why it's not okay.
Because you get a positive if you do
Either way it goes, it's going to be
still
positive.
okay.
it. Yeah.
But when you get ready to find your percent error, the number in your denominator has to be your exact value. And if you have your exact value of 382, that's going to make sure in your entire problem up. Because remember, V is going to be your exact value. So if you know what V is, it's going to help you when you get ready to do your denominator of V. Okay. All right. And for our next one, we have a value of acceptable value of 456 minus what?
408.
408. 456 minus 408 is what? I don't know.
48.
Who?
48.
It's 48. Okay. And the absolute value of 48? 48. So here is 48. All right, now we're going to take this. Now that we have our absolute error, we're going to take our absolute error and find our percent error. You got to start with your absolute error. Do that work first. It's going to make it a lot easier. So now we know that all we have to do is take our absolute error and divide it by the exact value. And then change it to a percent. Okay? So our absolute error was what? 26 when we counted 382. And what's the exact value?
408.
408. 408.
408.
And set that equal to X because we're looking for a percent over 100. And percent is always over 100. If you cross multiply, that's going to give you what? Cross multiply here, and that's going to give us what? 408 X. Then what do I do with this one-step equation? And what is our value?
6.8.
6.8.
Check your math.
6.4. Yeah, 6.4.
It is 6.4. I missed it.
6.4, round to your nearest tenth place. So 6.4%. Now, the next thing I want you all to do before we move on to the next one, take 26 and divide it by 408 in your calculator.
408.
26 divided by 408.
That's 408.
26.
No, 0.063725.
It's the same thing, you just have to move your decimal.
Give it to me. Give me the first four digits.
0637
Where's the decimal?
in front of you.
In front of you, and then you move it.
0.
637.
Okay, and to change a decimal to a percent, all you do is move your decimal 2 places to your right. So now we have 6.4%. Just wanted to show you all the changing of the percent can be done this way, or you can do the cross multiplication. Do what you feel most comfortable with. Okay.
So you can turn a decimal into a percentage and not moving the decimal?
By 2 places. Then when you want to change it back, you move it 2 places.
Thank you, Nancy. It was on Ingenuity. Yes, it was. All right, let's look at our last one before I let you all get on iExcel. So for our next problem, we have 48, which is our absolute error, over, please be quiet in the back of this class, over 408 is equal to x over 100. We're going to do the same thing, cross multiply, or you can divide and change it to a decimal, which will give you 4,800 is equal to 408 x. You're going to divide by 408 on both sides to get the x by itself. And x is equal to 11.8. And I said to round it to the 10th decimal place. Remember when you were talking?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's why I asked you to be quiet. 11.8%. And it's supposed to be cross multiply, so you know what we did there. Are there any questions about this? There are practice problems under on Edgenuity. I put them in there under percent. There are 2 extra practice sets in there. So if you want to practice on it, you can. Remember, this activity will help you with number 10 on your study guide. Study guides are due on Monday, February 4th. Your test is February 5th. You have a graded assignment next Wednesday. You have a vocabulary test next Friday. You will get those study guides on Monday. Any questions? If you did not get all of this or you want to go back and review it, I will upload it to YouTube for you all to see it, and I will post the link in Google Classroom.